Okay. Before we begin on today's unit, I just want to kind of summarize what we've been doing so far when we've been looking at our text sets for writing our compare and contrast essays. We talked about how we need to apply our nonfiction reading strategies when we are encountering a text set. When we're reading, we break it into pieces. We jot in the white space, stopping to jot a couple of words about what is happening in the text so that we can find our way back. Remember, we also synthesized across the text to identify some common main ideas, things that were talked about. And you went ahead and you planned using those main ideas. Now we've written our introductions. We've talked about how to hook the reader. We've written our introductions for our hamburgers and tacos. And now we're ready to start moving into our body paragraphs. Adrian, would you close that door, please? Thank you. So as we start to think about our body paragraphs, it's really important for us to consider the fact that we need to be very specific when we are choosing the details from the text that we want to include. We can't just randomly grab a hold of words because they're just in that section of the text. We have to be very specific. We want to support our main idea. So in front of you, you have glued a slip of paper. It says, choose the statements that support the idea. Both then and now, there is an element of secrecy to the flavoring of food. Now, if you remember, we worked on two different text sets for compare and contrast. One was about food flavoring, one was about hamburgers and tacos. So obviously, this is a main idea that you could use in your compare and contrast essay on flavoring food. Okay? Basically, these statements here all appear in the text. So you're wanting to look for something that supports the idea that there is an element of secrecy to the flavoring of food. Okay, so if I look at the very first one that's there, it says they work in top secret laboratories. Well, it's pretty obvious that that text is going to be a text that would support the idea that there is an element of secrecy, especially to modern times when laboratories are secret laboratories for developing the chemicals for flavoring food, the processed foods that we eat. Okay, so I would go ahead and I would put a check mark there because that is a piece of text that would support my main idea. Now, what I'd like you to do is I would like you to go ahead, let's look at the second one. They are forbidden from speaking of their experiments. Turn and talk with a partner. Would this also support the idea that there is an element of secrecy to food flavoring? Terry, go ahead and move. It's a little bit easier for you to move. And you can go over there and work with Terry and Jelena as well. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you and your partner decided that this would work. Thank you for all of you who heard my voice and stopped talking. Okay, so those of you who do not have your thumbs up, you disagree, you don't think this is a good support. Let's try that again. Give me a thumbs up if you think that the text that says they are forbidden from speaking of their experiments supports the secrecy. You don't think so? Okay, all right. I see your hand up now. Thank you. All right, so we can go ahead and check this one. All right, so hopefully you kind of get the idea that what we're looking for are pieces of text that support it. Let's do the same thing with the third one. Okay, it says their discoveries can be worth millions of dollars and often have the power to change the lives of people around the world, including yours. Turn and talk with the same partner. Would this support our main idea? So same thing. Give me a thumbs up if you think that this statement right here would support our main idea that there's an element of secrecy to food flavors. Anybody give me so Oliver, you think it would? What does it tell us if you think it would support?
Their discoveries can be worth millions of dollars and also have the power to change the lives of people around the world, including you. They're telling you something that the people are keeping a secret from you about.
Where does it? Which part of this sentence talks about secrecy? Which part? You want to revise your thinking? So what would you say now? No. Okay. Now, guys, it's really important that he did that. Why is this not a good piece of text to support our main idea that there is an element of secrecy to the flavoring of food? Why is it not, Aiden?
There's literally nothing talking about any kind of secrets. It's just saying that their flavors taste good.
Right.
And they're worth a lot.
And it's not necessarily that we need to have the word secret in there because we don't have it in the second one, but it doesn't really support any kind of a main idea. If you're trying to prove to your reader that secrets were kept, this doesn't support that. So you could not select this as part of a text. Okay? Now, is there a main idea that this sentence could support?
Yes.
Adrian?
Like, the money, because it says with millions of dollars.
Okay, so the reference to money, if one of your main ideas was that it's worth a lot of money, or that people can make a lot of money from flavoring of foods, this would definitely support it, but that's not our main idea. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, and let me just stop and back up a little bit. I want to point out how important it was for Oliver to think through that and to realize that that didn't work. You need to be that critical with each piece that you look at. You need to be thinking to yourself, does this support my main idea? Would you please stop doing that, Jesus? Does this support my main idea? Should I include it in my body paragraph? All right, so what I'd like you to do with the same partner you've been working with, I want you to turn and talk. I want you to look at all of the rest of the choices on this list, and I want you to choose the ones that you would include in your body paragraph with the main idea is both then and now there is an element of secrecy to the flavoring of food. Okay, go ahead and turn and talk. Why the evidence? So you working with Alexander?
Oh no, that was because he went to
Oh, so the three of you working together? Okay, all right, understood. Okay, let's come on back. A lot of you were very quick to be able to make choices, and so I want to have some conversations. All right, we already decided that this one didn't work, so let's look at the next one. Perfecting a new taste can take years of experimentation in the lab. Thumbs up if you think that this is a good support for our main idea that there's an element of secrecy. Nobody thinks it is? Okay, I would agree with you. It talks about, more talks about how many years it takes to develop a new taste. Okay, let's look at the next one. A successful flavor, a tangy citrus for gum, a zesty spice for the next flavor of Doritos, can earn millions for the company that creates it. All right, what do you think about this one, Terry? You think this would be a good support? Okay, that is. I agree with you. That is another one that would support the money because it says it can earn millions for the company that creates it. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says, no wonder flavor companies guard their formulas as prized treasures. Tegan, what did you and Carol think about that one? Okay, so no wonder flavor companies guard their formulas as prized treasures. Tegan says that she and Carol didn't think it went with it. Does everybody agree with that? Does anybody disagree? Okay, Alexander, what do you think?
I think it goes along with it because it says they guard their formulas as prized treasures, which is the same secret.
Okay, so he's pointing specifically to the words guard their formulas. Okay, if you're guarding it, you're keeping it safe, you're keeping it secure. It does support that idea of having it secret. Okay, so I would agree. Give me a thumbs up if you agree with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and give it a check. All right, the next one says, in those days, most Europeans had no idea where these spices came from. Federico, what did you and your partner think about that? You don't think it kept, it was related to secrets? Does everybody agree or does anybody disagree with that idea? Olivia?
I disagree because it says everyone had no idea where it was.
Okay, all right. So if nobody knew where it was, what were they doing? Keeping the location a secret, okay? So Can you see where that one, you have to be really careful. You have to kind of remember the text that we read about that. In those days, most Europeans had no idea where these spices came from. The reason why they didn't have any idea was because their locations were kept a secret. And I think we can see that a little bit later on in some of the text. Okay, the next one says, the Middle Eastern and Asian traders who brought spices to Europe refused to reveal where they got the seasonings. Oh, I already got a whole bunch of thumbs up. Thumbs up if you think that this is a good support for the main idea. Anthony, what do you think?
I think it is a good support.
And I think most everybody in here agrees with you that that is a good support for that main idea. Okay, the next one. By keeping their sources secret, they could control the spice trade. Adrian, can you see how that goes with what the other one that we had about no idea where the spices came from? Those sentences are almost connected, right? Okay, so what do you think? By keeping their sources secret, they could control the spice trade. What do you think? Oliver has a thumbs up. If you agree with that, thumbs up, please. Okay, very nice. I would also agree with that. Okay, finally, this meant they could charge super high prices to customers. What did you think about that, Sawyer?
I don't think that, because that's just about money again.
Okay, it is sort of about money. It's more about money. I would say this one, I don't know that I would definitely quote it, but I would certainly would be part of like my elaboration as far as, because they kept it a secret, this is why. This was their, let's make a connection. This was their motivation. Make a connection to our reader's workshop. Their motivation was to be able to control the prices. Okay? So I would say that might possibly end up being something that we might use. Okay, so what we did basically today was we kind of tested the details or supports for our main ideas. We kind of tested them, thought about them. Do they really prove it? So today when you go back to your seats, what I want you to do is I want you to take a look before you begin writing your body paragraphs for your hamburgers and tacos. I want you to go ahead and take a look at the support that you have chosen on your planning sheet. Bring that support to this test. Does it really prove my main idea? Okay, and you might realize, like Oliver did, when he thought that some of the text that he quoted, he thought that some of the information he had pulled was going to support his main idea, but it didn't. Okay, let me caution you all as you're writing your body paragraphs to keep in mind the structure of a body paragraph. If you have forgotten, there are checklists in the organizer on the counter for you to refer to. Tomorrow, we're going to continue our work with body paragraphs. If you're worried about drafting this, I know some of you are drafting straight into your essay packet. If you're worried that you might have a lot of changes as we cover the different steps of body paragraphs, feel free to draft your body paragraphs in your notebook. Okay? Just know that that's a sloppy copy, and as we go through for the different parts, we will go ahead and be able to revise them before you actually publish them in your booklet. And Zachary and Sawyer, I'm going to take points for your behavior. All right, go ahead back to your seats, please.